Yo, 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 ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? It's your co-host Dervin on Synonyms of Sound. How's everyone doing today? We've got, sorry about that, Tony. Do your thing, do your thing.
Hey guys, you got Tony as well.
You see, I always, that's why I said you got to go first, man. It's a little smoother when you say the, Synonyms of Sound, the intro. I like it better on your part. But today we've got a really awesome guest. I'm a big fan, huge fan. I know there's a lot of folks in the trading space with me who are happy to have him on. But we got Hansome Kelly on the podcast. Thanks for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you, man.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I guess I just wanted to kick it off and like jump right in, right? So like I know some about you just from following you over the past couple of years, but I guess in a quick synopsis, if you wanted to explain like your background and your relevance in the financial space, you know what I'm saying? I guess how would you describe your journey so far?
Hey
Uh,
Dervin, I think that's important and I want to hear that. But before we jump to that, Handsome Kelly is a amazing name. So you got to give us, how did that name come about? I mean, I mean,
so
showing love, you a handsome dude, but Handsome Kelly as
appreciate
well.
that.
That's different. So you tell us a little bit about that and definitely jump into Dervin's question, please.
So what actually came about was my name was going to be Prince.
Ooh,
Yeah, so because of that, I tell people my name is Handsome Prince Kelly. It's not,
okay,
but that's why I used to like tell people that. The name came from my mom. She always wanted a son named Handsome, and that's what
okay.
what's her thing. Ever since she was a kid, I'm her first son, her only son at that. So she always said, if I ever have a son, he's going to be handsome. I'm going to name him Handsome. So that's really how it came about.
I mean, that's awesome. Congrats to your mom, man. That's a staple.
Yeah, she's
Everybody's gonna
dope.
remember that. So congrats to your mom and the name, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. She's dope. Yeah, back to your question. Whoa, background. Whew. Um, Background is of how I got into trading or how I got into finance. Which one would you want to go start with?
Which came first? I'd imagine it was probably finance.
Well, yeah, finance came first, and that it actually came by accident. I was working at a summer youth one time, and I remember this so vividly. So the paycheck we were getting at that time was $337.33. All right, so I remember one month, believe it was the month of July, and I spent over $1,500 that month alone. Now, mind you, I just told you how much the paycheck was, right? So
Hmm.
it's like, how the hell did I'm obviously spending more than I'm making? So I'm like, what the hell? So I said to myself, like, I got to figure this out. Like, something got to give. So around me, the people around me at that time, we were all in the same circle, in the same boat. So I didn't really have anyone who I can go to and say, hey, how do we become rich or get out of my situation? So what I decided to do was go to the library and get a book, right? So I figured, rich people, it boiled down whenever they have problems, or people in general, when they have problems, they put their answers in books. So I went to the finance section and I picked up this book called, oh man, what is the book called? Money Master the Game by Tony Robbins. And that book that right there is a financial Bible. And I know he does have an updated version called Unshakable, which is cool, but the Money Master the Game, again, that's a financial Bible. So I read that book, and then from there I started recording, everything when it boils down to how much money I'm spending, literally down to the penny. I didn't have no spreadsheet or anything. I literally every month I would like put things in weeks, and every time I spend $1 or something, I'll write it down physically. And then when it week comes to an end, I'll add up how much money I spent, how much money came in, and then obviously the goal was to be above water, even before the week is over. Right, I want to be above water for a week is over, when the month is over. Kept that going, stay consistent with that. Yeah, obviously later on I got into day trading. Now that right there is a completely different story how I got into that. That was another thing that was by accident. It was really just perfect timing. So I was in a network marketing company a few years ago. Well, this is almost 10 years ago now. Yeah, I was in a network marketing company, and one of my uplines, his upline was on Facebook, right? So I figured, you know what, I'm going to follow his upline. Well, I'm going to add his upline. So I figured success leaves clues. So if he's my upline's upline, he knows more than my upline, so I can get myself, to the next level. So I added him on Facebook. I started looking at some things he was posting, and then he started posting things about charts and trading. Now, when I was younger, I wanted to be like Warren Buffett, right? So before I went to school, my mom, she dropped us off, New York One will come on, right? So like every 10 minutes they have like the weather, and then they'll have like a finance section. So during that finance section, they would be speaking about like the richest person at that time, or anything about different thing about finance. So Warren Buffett's name would always come about. Now he got his money through investing, which obviously was in the market. So I figured, from that I have to have capital to go about doing so. So that was initially why I got into network marketing. Yeah, I wanted to impact the masses. But in reality, I wanted the wealth as well that came with that, right? It's not just like I'm impacting everyone and I'm going to be broke. No, I wanted the money to go along with it. So fast forward back to my upline's upline. He was posting all these things about trading and stuff. So I asked him, what is it? Because I will see things like USD/JPY. And I wasn't crazy familiar with the stock market, but I knew tickers wasn't USD/JPY. Like you don't see that, right? So I asked him what it was. He said he's Forex trading currencies. And I'm like, what the hell is that? So from there, he put me into his group. I had a lot of ups and downs. Pretty much, lots of downs. And then finally figured out what worked for me. Stayed consistent with that. And now we're here.
Awesome. So I've
actually met a lot of story.
I've met a lot of people who've gotten into Forex through originally like a network marketing or multi-level marketing or affiliate marketing company, it kind of exposing them to it. And then I tend to see some folks like either like jump right into like the fundamental and technical analysis, and then some folks kind of essentially like brand themselves and focus on the marketing aspect. And I feel like from my observation, some of the most successful folks who had that start are the folks who leaned on like focusing on the trading and long term had more success, I feel. That could be arguable, definitely from what I've observed.
Well, and then added to that, the network marketing I was in, it wasn't trading related. It was more about it was Wake Up Now. So it was more about like discounts. I'm not sure if you guys remember that, but Wake Up Now pretty much like took the nation by storm.
It's like
so that
traveling.
was how I got into it.
I remember that too.
Yeah, traveling, discounts, all those different things. But in reference to what you just said, I mean it boils down to this. A majority of people, and again, the main issue when it comes to network marketing form of trading is that majority of people, what they will do is they'll showcase the lifestyle and motivate individuals or their team to do it that way and train that way. However, like as a trader, you want to focus on trading, right? Because regardless of what company you're with, individually, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you want to be a trader. Yeah, you want the residuals that come with it, but if you don't know how to trade, it's very difficult for you to move forward unless you just have a crazy lifestyle and get all these residuals.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess how's the Forex been for you in the wacky state of the world? This past 2 years, I guess.
Doesn't bother me. Doesn't bother me at all. I mean, a lot of things, especially with my students as well. So how I trade is this, right? I trade fundamentals as well as technicals, right? And the reason why is because fundamental tells you when to get into the market, and fundamentals, that's just the news and stuff. Technicals analysis tells you where the market is going, right? So when technical analysis, they say, we look left, the market's going towards the right. And that's the same thing you do. So the thing with that, you're looking in the past to see a lot of things that's going to be repetition, right? So let's just say if the market, like the past 20 years, the market hit, let's say 10, right? The market hit the level of 10 like 40 times in the last 20 years, right? If the market gets close to that, more likely, when it hits it, it's going to have some type of rejection from that, right? Because we understand the past, we're just repeating that. Now, added to that, let's say news is coming out. News is coming about, you got bearish news, the bearish is down. So you have bearish news coming about saying that, this is going to be bad for the currency and so forth, right? So you got to understand that all right, you don't want to be the first person into the market. Why? Because at the end of the day, you don't have that type of capital, right? It's big bank take little bank. So the big bank and the big investors, those are the ones who focus on getting early into it. You have retail traders like myself. Retail traders is someone who doesn't have institutional backing them up. They have their own personal money going into it. So you have retail traders, they're trying to time the market, trying to beat the big bank, which it's not going to happen. Like at the end of the day, you don't got enough capital, right? So what you want to do is like, instead of focusing on getting a piece of the pie, just go for the crumbs, right? At the end of the day, when you're thinking about it, it's over a $7 trillion daily market revenue. crumbs of 7 trillion, you're doing pretty good for yourself, right? So that's what I focus on doing. And once you got that set, you're going to be good to go. So again, as I said, like once the news, everything hit, you're going to see a lot of volatility. Once the volatility comes to a close, and then from there, you have a set idea of where the market's going, lock it in, take the entry, and then so forth. Just go about your day.
So what platforms are you using to set these, it sounds like limits or like sell trade, those type of, puts that you're putting in? Like what platform would you recommend a beginner? What is a better platform for someone that you would consider like an expert that they can like transition to? Are they all the same no matter what skill level you have?
Great question. And to answer that, the platform that I use is MT4, which is MetaTrader 4. If you're a Forex trader, you might as well just stick with MetaTrader 4. There's really no reason for you to go like Thinkorswim or any other platform. Unless you're just like, let's say you have like Oanda or Forex.com as a broker, then you can link it to the actual TradingView and trade just off of TradingView. But besides that, no, you just use MetaTrader 4. And then also, I only use market execution. And the reason why is because when I first started, I had a few orders in. And again, at that time, I didn't know what I was doing. So a lot of my early time trading, I got lucky. Like legit got lucky. Like and looking back, I was doing foolish things that you shouldn't be doing and stuff. But at the end of the day, it wasn't pure luck. But I got a few bad trades doing some orders in. And then I realized myself, like, I might as well just work with execution. So, and then added to that, there's a million ways to skin a cat. So what works for me may not work for someone else and so forth. But at the end of the day, as long as you get to your destination, you're good to go. Right? Because I know a lot of traders who are successful, they use orders, they don't use execution. However, again, as I just said, I use execution. But yeah, gotcha. To answer your question full circle, MetaTrader 4 is great. It's good to go. So what I do have two monitors up here. I have one monitor, which is this one here. I use this for TradingView. And with TradingView, I mark up all my trades. I feel like it's more of, you don't just worry about like focus on Forex. With TradingView, any single platform, any single market you want is available for your use. Right. So I have that set here. And then on this monitor right here, I'll have my MetaTrader 4. So what I use MetaTrader 4 just to execute position and then monitor my trades. I don't do any markups on that or any type of orders or any alerts on MetaTrader 4. Everything is on TradingView.
Got it. And I guess a follow-up based on like you answering my question, you had mentioned that you had a couple lucky days at the beginning of your career and bad days. Let me hear your best lucky day at the beginning and why you thought it was lucky and what was one of your bad days. Because I feel that some people hit bad days and that's it. They close up shop. Like, this is not for me anymore. And then some people hit some lucky days and it's like, all right, I'm feeling good. So they double up next time and that becomes a real bad day. So let me just hear your luckiest day and bad day.
A crazy lucky day was I made like 1,700 one day when I was first starting off, and I lie to you not. I mean, obviously I'm hyped about it. I'm thinking like, I got this. I'm gonna be rich next week. No, like that did not happen. I think I lost all of it, if not more, maybe the next day. Again, doing a lot of stuff like greed was born down to it. Being emotional in my feelings, revenge trading, those type of things that, a lot of traders even have to this day. And there's little stuff you just got to tweak to get that out of it. But best day that I had, well, not a best day, a worst day that I had, I lost 17 in one day. And I literally thought that my life was over. And by losing that, I understood why people commit suicide over money. I really do. Right. Again, I'm not saying I'm suicidal or anything, but I understood from that standpoint because, again, for me, that was a lot of money, right, at that time. Now, if someone's working their life, their entire life, and let's say, they have like 10 million to their name. Let's just say that, right? If they lose like 9 million or like, let's say 10 million in one day, from their standpoint, they value money too much that they feel as if they can't make that back. They feel as if, I've spent 30 years making this, I just lost it just like that. My life is done, right? So you have to understand and remember this as well. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, especially if you're a trader, as much money you can lose, you can make that right back. And that's how I see things now. So like, if I lose 17 a day again, that means I can make 17 a day. If I lose even $1, if I lose $1, I can make $1, right? So there's really no difference. You just have to put yourself in that type of mindset and say to yourself, because you're not going to win always. right? The goal is to minimize your losses, but if you do have a big loss, look back on it, see where you went wrong at, and say to yourself, all right, I had this big loss. Let me get this big win around and get that back.
I feel like one of the biggest obstacles in my trading journey has been developing adequate discipline. Like
Hmm.
uh, in regards to managing risk in terms of securing profit, like simpler things. Like I feel like like you mentioned, some things work for some people and don't for others. But for me, like one thing I really had to overcome was really small, like simple details. Like I'll do the analysis, I'll get into profit, but I had to overcome securing my profit, turning my trades risk free, like moving my stop loss above entry, feel like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's it was like those small details. Like, what would you say? I guess were um, like that one obstacle you had to overcome before you consistently became profitable.
Well, the biggest tip, I'll answer it with both. The biggest tip I can give you that is, let's say if your account is, I'll use this for a stand. Let's say you have $1,000 in your account, right? You're in a trade, you're up 500, right? Lock in 250 or lock in 200, right? You can put
Mhm.
the thing that I noticed, a lot of traders, something I had as well. My stop loss will still be in a negative when I'm in some good profit. Then I thought about it. I'm like, why am I doing that? All right. I would look to see other traders, they're posting, they would do that. So I thought that's the right thing to do. But then when you think about it, it's like you're up a great profit. Why would you have your stop loss in negative still? Right? You should put your stop loss in profit. And the thing
Yeah.
about it is that if the market retraces and hit your stop loss, it's okay. Why? Because now you have more capital in your account to play with. Right? But the thing about it is this: you don't want to revenge trade and say to yourself, "Oh my God, my stop loss get hit, I got to jump right back in." No, your stop loss got hit for a reason. If it's in profit, right? So reanalyze the market, see what's going on, and lower your lot size when you're going back in. Don't just use the same lot size, because then let's say your stop loss is still let's say down 20 pips. Now your stop loss is down 20 pips again. Now you're risking your gain, so then you probably go back into negative. There's no reason to do that. So just I can tell you that as well. Like just worry about doing it that way. And then also, as I just said, like just focus on brick by brick. Right. The thing about it is that because of the field we're in, we can make money like this. So it's like you do want to let me just make 10 grand real quick. But then you gotta say to yourself, like, it's okay if you don't make 10 grand today. Like if you just close it with like $500, like that's okay. That's not bad. But we don't see it that way because of the field we're in. So just
Hmm.
get comfortable with doing brick by brick, bro. Like, you haven't gone, I'm not don't know you guys current circumstances, but let's just say someone listening, you're not rich right now, so why try to get rich tomorrow? Like just
I like
continue going
that.
brick by brick.
I like that. I like that. And you mentioned something earlier when you talked about, if I lose 17 today, I can make it back tomorrow. To me, it sounds a little bit like gambling. So when does when did you or no, that's not the way to say it. Like, how can you tell someone is actually trading versus gambling? Like, when is that person actually doing the job of a trader versus gambling?
That's a good
Like,
question.
how
That's
can
a
you
great
educate
question.
someone on that?
That is a great question. A lot of times we do say that gambling is trading. It is a very thin line between being a gambler and a trader, right? Both they do have their own plans and everything.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times, I mean, I'm not a gambler when it comes to I'm not going to the casino and taking those things. But what I'm doing, like I'm looking at past price, right? So I'm using past price to have an idea of where price is going towards the future, right? At the end of the day, they're both in probability, right? It's a probability that, I can win, I can lose. However, what you want to do is just put that risk into it. Like, again, so my answer, me saying I lost 17, I can make it tomorrow, that's just a mindset to have as if,
Mm-hmm.
don't allow your loss to get the best of you,
Yep,
right?
I
It's
get it.
not saying it's yeah, I'm definitely going to make it tomorrow. No, because then that would be a gamble, right? But
Mm-hmm.
you can put yourself in a position in which you can actually make that back the next day. It really is possible. But to say that you have to make it back the next day, that is a gamble because now you're taking the ideology of a trader out of your mindset and you're saying to yourself, I have to make this next trade win. And when you do it that way, it's not more likely it's not going to go in your favor. The probability is not going to be in your favor when you take that route.
Got it. And I guess a follow-up to that was like, how did you build that mental fortitude for that? Like,
Oh
how did
man.
you come up with because I feel like you said it's a thin line, but that line can be so easily overcome by like overconfidence, cockiness, excitement. So like, how do you like level set yourself? Because you're a day trader. There's no one managing you, looking over your shoulder, making sure that you're following your rules to success. Like, so how did you set up that mindset, and how can
Well,
other people create that mindset?
well, first, it took time to get here, right?
Hmm.
So it's not as if this happened like the very next day. And I want people to realize and understand that. Like, it's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen next week. It's just not going to happen. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are. Obviously, you do have, some people who, they're able to, like, do things in that type of time. But a lot of times, and you can see it too. Like, if you make like 30 grand, and you're not like mentally prepared for that, you're going to lose that. Same thing like win a lottery. If you win a lottery, people quit their job and stuff. It's like you're not used to making that type of capital. So, and that capital is not forever. So, like a lot more likely, you're going to do things that are going to put you right back into it. Same thing with like people getting their tax return, right? They get a tax return and feel as if like, they're making all this money every week. And no, that's a one-time payment for you. So now you're acting as if you're making this over and over when in reality you're not. So you're going to eventually go back to what you were doing before. And the same thing with this. So understanding that for starters, it didn't happen overnight for me. It happened way longer than it should have. But besides that, though, it's just like understanding like your losses. Like at the end of the day, you're either going to continuously lose over and over, or you're going to learn from that, right? And then I have mentors as well. So even learning from that is like, what the fuck did I? Wait, can I curse?
Yeah,
Of
of
course.
course, of course, of course,
Yeah,
of course,
what
of
the
course,
what
of
the
course.
fuck am I doing wrong? Like, what's not going right for me, right? So it's
Hmm.
like, and you have to accept that. Like, the thing about it is, a lot of traders they'll write down what's wrong, but they'll go back and do it again, and they'll write down what's wrong, and they'll go back and do it again. But you have to say to yourself, like, yo, I fucking suck, and that's why I say to myself, like, yo, bro, you suck. Like, you're not like it's not other people, it's not alerts or anything, it's you. Right? Because if I saw so many people making so much money, I'm saying to myself, like, I'm smarter than this person, that person. And it's not about intelligence. It's just about a system, following a system over and over. That's really what trading is. You follow a system. It doesn't matter if you're the brightest person, the dumbest person. If you can follow a system, you're going to do extremely well in this field. So that's what it was. It's like, all right, this is the system. Let me follow it. When things go wrong, this is part of the system. When things go wrong, when things go right, this part of the things go right. And again, it's just like doing that over and over and over until the sticks become habitual. And then once that happens, then it's like, now you're good to go.
Cool.
It's almost like building that muscle memory on the charts, reading patterns, but
It
also
100% is like that. Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the thing. Like a lot of traders, they'll put like, you have the whole 10,000 hour rule in which, Malcolm Gladwell, he came up with it. It takes 10,000 hours for you to master a skill. I don't agree to that. I don't think it's true. My main reason is because of the fact that, someone can do something for 7,000 hours and they can do it the wrong way, right? And those next 3,000 hours, they do it the right way. That's 10,000 hours right there, but you're 3,000 hours doing the right thing. So you're still behind, right? So, and then on top of that, everyone's interpretation of information is different, right? What may take someone 10 hours can take somebody else 3 hours and vice versa, right? So it boils down to how they interpret information. But besides that, adding to it, right, like you have to remind yourself, even as a trader, that, what you want to do is just like, you got to do what makes sense, right? Don't try to reinvent the wheel, right? Understand that, like, if you follow a system and if you focus on not even that, let me go back. Let me go back to the 10,000, this reference to it. So they'll put 10,000 hours on the market, right? On the chart time. I need chart time. Everyone says that you need chart time. No, you don't. You need mental time. Like, I don't understand why, like, at the end of the day, we're watching rectangles form over and over. That's very boring. Like, once you get the idea of following patterns and knowing how to read patterns, when you do that repetition, you're pretty much good to go, right? So even how I teach, I make sure all my students, regardless of what we're going over, 15 charts, right? So like if we're doing candlestick analysis, let's say we're looking for hammers, 15 charts with different hammers, identify that. Once you have that set in stone, you're good to go. Like after 15, you're set because now you're transitioning yourself to see certain patterns, right? Because like once you do like, if you do like 4 charts, right? After the third one, you'll realize we went wrong at, right? If you do 7 charts, after like the 5th one, you'll realize, okay, this is where we're wrong at. Now those last 2, you're correcting it, right? After 12, those last 11 you did, you see exactly where you messed up at. 13, 14, 15, you got it down packed now, right? So once you have that set in stone, now you're just like, you're good to go. You don't need to spend more time on the charts. You have to spend more time on your mental. Because like the chart, it's not going nowhere. It's like, it's the same patterns for these past 30, 40 years. It's not going to change. Like, doesn't really matter what's going on. You may see a huge drop, huge rise. All right, that's different. But besides, it's the same market still. After these rises and drops, the market is going to find a way to go back into a repetition or a system, if you want to say it that way, with just patterns. And once you have that set. So I feel like traders need to spend more time with their mental, understanding who they are as an individual, understanding what going to work for them to become more disciplined and to become more equipped with having a winner's mindset. Once you have that set, and then from there, like the chart time is going to take care of itself.
Awesome. And just out of curiosity, and this is on topic, but a little bit off topic. I guess it's a subtopic. With shit upside down all over the world, the pandemic, the mainstream adoption of crypto, with that in particular, countries adopting cryptocurrencies as legal tender, central banks exploring digital currencies themselves. How do you see that impacting the Forex market? Like, what happens to like these regular and exotic pairs when we make that switch? The chart rules might still apply, but I guess like what are your thoughts there?
I think the chart rules will definitely still apply. I do. At the end of the day, I don't think that fiat is going to go away. I do think that we're definitely going to transition into crypto. I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? But again, I don't think that Bitcoin will be the main crypto at that time. I do think that you're going to have some type of current country come along. Well, I mean, you see what U.S., what we're trying to do, right? We're trying to create our own digital dollar. And the reason why, to maintain that power, right? Because at the end of the day, what's keeping us afloat is the fact that we have the world reserve currency. So we're working on transition to having the world reserve cryptocurrency, right? Now, once we have a cryptocurrency, then it's like, again, everything will transition to like we're just using cryptos as well as fiat. I don't see fiat going away fully, just like gold, right? So gold is still a usage. People still, besides physical gold, when it comes to like chain and jewelry and those type of things, some people actually do use gold for as an exchange of value. When it comes to like, all right, I'll give you this gold if you give me, this and so forth, right? So same thing with that. Now, when it comes to emerging markets, same thing. It's going to be like what's like Venezuela. No one's using Venezuela, like no Venezuelan dollars, but it's still available, right? So it's the same exact thing. It's like, from like the big boys and stuff like America, we're not going to use those type of things. That's like the third world, those pairs, but it's still available if anyone wants to trade it or utilize it.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's an interesting take. I think I'd have to disagree on the fiat piece. I think fiat is going to completely go away, only because I think there's this weird agenda for us to own a lot less, and I think
I agree to that part.
Yeah, I think maybe not fiat, right? Like, because like, what is fiat? Like, it's almost whatever damn near we say it is, really. What's backing the dollar anymore? You know what I mean? Like, it's so crazy right now. And what's crazy about how crazy it is right now is how unaware people are, right? So like, I guess to our community, with the uncertainty in the market right now, say there's some kid somewhere listening to this who wants to escape the 9 to 5, wants to budget better, wants to doesn't want to follow the standard society tells them in terms of work till you're this age, then retire. Like what would you say were 3 like things they must do during this time? Like I feel there's opportunity in the uncertainty as well. It's just you need to be pointed in the right direction if you don't have that support system around you.
Agreed. For starters, the first thing you need to do is you need to understand your own personal finance, right? So it's like you need to know how much is coming in, how much is going out, right? You need to know if you're above water or below water. That's the first thing. Next up, you have to get educated. And when I say educated, educated obviously in the financial field with investing, I think that you want to get more educated into crypto than anything else at this point. Why? Because it's not just the future, it's the present, right? You have NFTs that's gonna take things by storm. You have the metaverse, so many that's going into it. So prioritize that. After you prioritize that, then understand, all right, so now that I have this wealth, what can I do to diversify to make it going, right? That's when it goes to, taxable assets, like we're going to like something similar to IRA, right? Something small like that. Like understand these things, and then once you have that set, you're good to go. And the reason why I'm saying it that way is because I don't think everyone is built to be a trader. And when you can become and develop into a trader. Like anyone can do that. However, not everyone wants to put in the time to go about doing that, right? But everyone needs to become an investor, right? You need to understand how to manage your money, how to put your money into different assets to make it grow for the long-term value, even short-term, depending on what you want to do, what your goals are. But those things are like that order right there. I definitely think you need to pay attention to. And some people, what they'll do is they'll skip their personal finance, go straight into like crypto and stuff, right? Or just not even crypto. Let's say the stock market. They'll learn that, and then they have their wealth. It's like, what's going on? Like, why am I losing? Because you're messing up your personal finance. Like, you don't have that set yet. So once you have that set, then you can go, because now you have your foundation set when you're building your house. Right? You don't want to build a house and the cement's not even dry, and now you're trying to put a different type of furniture in your place. You're like, what's going on? Why is it lopsided and everything? It's because you haven't waited for the cement to dry,
Yeah. So I know you said in the past you used to write down your finance, like every dollar you spent every single day, every week. Are there apps? Would you say someone should do this in Excel? Like, as technology has become more, advanced, like, what would you recommend for someone to use? I use Mint. That kind of tracks everything. I put all my accounts, all my investment accounts in there, and it kind of gives me a great overall picture of everything that I have going on. So do you have something that you would recommend to someone?
Well, yeah, I have a financial spreadsheet that I personally use myself. I also, have that as a product. And then a lot of things that I utilize Mint as well, like the way they go about calculating things. I utilize Mint. Credit Karma, I utilize that. Just put it into a spreadsheet. I'll figure it out that way. And then from there, again, how I personally did it as well. Like I just write things down, how I would go about it, what makes sense, the additions, subtractions, all that stuff. So then, yeah, formulas. Formulas is pretty much, as you said, it is the future. Not the future, it's the present. So as technology evolved, I had to evolve with it. It did take me a while to actually stop physically writing things down and go into these formulas, but that's what I do now.
How many books did you have of like just you spending money? Like I'm sure you had like 3 textbooks worth of books.
No, what I did, I had binders. So
yeah,
I had like
the binder day.
I had a binder of every year, man. Wow. Man, you just put in your memory lane. I had a binder of every year. So what I'll do is it came to a point where like I'll take like a loose leaf paper and I'll physically write down, like I'll put like week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, depending on what month it is. So I'll literally like write down every single thing for that. And I mean, at that time too, I would make sure I'm not spending more than 5 things per day, right? So let's say if I get a haircut, if I go out to eat, if I pay for a bill, if I go to the gym and let's say, I don't know, buy a drink or something, a smoothie, and then let's say I buy some sneakers. That's 5 things. I'm done for the day.
That's interesting.
I have to wait until tomorrow.
The
reason why,
that is
honestly, like looking back, it definitely helped me with discipline. But the reason why is because the way I wrote it up, it was 5 lines. So it was like, I'm going to fuck myself over. I'm going to have to make the whole diagram over, add a 6th line. It's mad work. Like, that's what I'm saying.
Set it up week after week with 5
lines. A few times.
Got it.
Yeah, I messed up a few times doing that. So I'm like, I'm not doing it. So I just kept it at 5. And yeah, looking back, that's exactly now I see the discipline to that though. But no, it was that's a great point. I build the discipline when I think about that.
You trained your brain
awesome,
in an interesting way. I don't know if you might have realized you did this. It's very similar.
I haven't until just now.
you instead of focusing on, I guess, the quantity of money you spent, it was more so the quantity of transactions. It kind of reminds me of like exercising a bit. Like say you're trying to do 100 push-ups. you might count to 1 to 100 and struggle, but if you counted in increments of 10, you could probably
You're
bust
gonna
right
be
through it
good.
and like train your like manipulate your brain a little bit just to like build better habits
Yeah.
or and things like that. It's awesome.
It's very interesting the things we accomplish with our brain. We would never
Yeah.
realize it. Brain is so powerful, man.
Oh yeah.
And that's why you need
So,
to pay more time on here and less on the charts.
So that's a
I
great
mean,
question. You
speaking
talk
of the
about the
charts, I
brain.
mean,
Now go, Durf. Go.
Say again, I didn't hear you.
Now, Durf, you about to go charts.
I
Go to
was gonna
charts. Go to
ask.
charts.
I was gonna ask. Most made 1 day trading, like most profitable trading day.
23. Still to this day, 23. And
That's
that was
that's
the election. Man, I have students who surpass that, and it's so funny.
Mhm.
Like, it's so funny. Like, just like,
Was
we're all talking and stuff. But yeah, a personal one still. And it is a little irritating, because like, bro, it's like, what are you doing? But then a lot of times, I do allow, even to this day, I allow certain things to get to me when it comes to like, family or just, my time being elsewhere where I don't have to trade all the time. You obviously do want to grow and catch these moves, but I don't have to do it all the time. And obviously, I already know brick by brick, I'm definitely getting to where I want to get to. So that's not the issue with it.
and were you just trading one pair?
For that was a Dow. The Dow had like a crazy like 1700 point spike, and I didn't catch the entire move, but I caught the majority of it.
That some of those indices, man, could if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, and it's becoming the norm for people to like transition from, like, they're not trading forex no more. They're going in indices,
Mhm.
and like now's not the time to do that, especially when you have like 400 point gaps over this. Like this weekend was a 400 point
Yeah.
gap, so you're
Definitely
definitely
not
gonna
the
blow
time
your
to do
account.
it if you don't have the discipline. And I
Oh
trade
no,
with a few folks in a group, and there's some folks at different stages, and some are like, I can't hop in the US 30 setups. You know what I mean? Like I don't got
and
the
it's
account for
okay.
it.
Like it's okay, especially like you don't need to do that. It's just a different type of feel, a different type of risk that comes with it, right? But
Mhm.
for me, I started trading UJ. It is a very slow moving pair, and then I transitioned to golden in GJ, and then US 30 is like it's ridiculous.
DJ,
It's
I
just a whole
love
nother beast.
DJ.
Even GJ, like if
DJ
GJ will
moves.
give you what you want,
Yeah,
like.
nah, DJ moves.
You could, yeah, that's a great pair that you guys could just stick with. If you don't have to go into indices, if you want
I kind of
volatility,
want to
stick
get
with
the
GJ.
inside joke. What is GJ? Because a lot of our users may not be
Oh, I'm
familiar
so
with your
sorry. All
term
right, so
pairs. So like,
Yes.
you guys kind of leaving me out and smiling, having a
sorry,
good time.
Tony.
So help me out a little bit. What's JJ's?
All right, so GJ is Great Britain pound, Japanese yen. So it's
Okay.
the assumption that so with forex is the assumption that one currency will outvalue the other, right? You have a base and a quote. So let's say if someone is buying a pair, that means that it's assumption that the base will outvalue the quote. If they're selling a pair, it's the assumption that the quote will outvalue the base, right? So let's say if someone says I'm buying GJ, right? That means that their assumption is that the pound will outvalue the yen. And if they say they're selling GJ, it's the assumption that the yen will outvalue the pound. So that's
Oh,
really all it is. But just to make it short, instead of saying Great Britain pound, Japanese yen, you say GJ.
I like it. I like it. I like it. I like it. So I like the little
But
teaching
I like
moment.
the way you use DJ.
So I wanted to ask you, like, when did you come to the realization that you felt that you were ready to teach others? Because like you said, losing money sometimes can make you feel like so distraught that you go to a really dark place. And teaching someone,
Oh
knowing
man.
that they could potentially get to that bad place would be probably triggering for me. But how did you feel that you were ready to share your wealth and knowledge and help other people prosper as you were prospering?
At that time, who was mentoring me, I surpassed him. I surpassed them when it comes to trading, and then from there, I started teaching them. So that was pretty much with the battery in my back. Like I can definitely get this done. And then I
Awesome,
did have
man.
a lot of friends, and people hit me up and hey, how you do this? So I will always give them tips, and I feel like that's where me giving like a lot of free value on social media, where just like it's just stuck, from me just doing that. But that's where it came from, and then obviously from there, once I had a student come and, they did good, then, just word of mouth and everything just spread from there.
Awesome. And if you could kind of like list maybe 3 or 4 things you feel that if anyone was to come and learn from you, because I remember reading a couple of different articles, you talked about really wanting to grow your like student base because you want to share more of your wealth and give back. If there are 4 things that someone can go to your program or course and take away from it, like what would those 4 things be?
First thing is that if you are doing this because you need to pay your bills next week, don't do it.
Okay.
I guarantee every single person I tell them, like, if you're behind on your bills and that's the reason why you're doing this, this is not the time for you to do that. And it's not going to work. Like, you're going to stress yourself out because now, you made this investment and then from there, you're going to get the skill set, but you're not getting the skill set tomorrow. Right. So like, I recommend getting yourself together before you even come to me. Secondly, it's not going to happen overnight, which is pretty much like, those things go hand in hand. Thirdly, I'm here. Right. And it's like, some people, they feel as if like, I don't want to hit you up until I have this down packed. I'm like, listen, I've been there. Right. I know how it feels to, feel as if like you're not ready to hit someone up, but, everyone needs a helping hand to get up that ladder. It doesn't matter if it's something small. It can be like, what does spread mean? Right. And it's like, the information is available for you, but if you just want to ask that, just ask it away. Right. And then the fourth thing is that, it's going to take time. And it boils down to how much time you put in as an individual. Right. Because, again, I have students who became literally full time, in a matter of a few months. But that's not everyone. Right. It boils down because their schedule, how hungry they were, how well they interpreted information, and also how they applied it. Right. So once you have that set and those 4 things together, you're going to be good to go.
Awesome. Could you share one of your I think you might be
it looks like his
I think you
camera
might
was
be connecting,
disabled for connection reasons,
internet
but we're
problems.
still
Okay.
recording. And
Okay.
it doesn't look
But
like he's trying to speak now, but
quick question, like, could
we
you
should
talk
be all
about
set
one of
there.
your
So
most happiest
Okay.
success story with one of your
we'll give
students?
him a
Like,
little bit
what
to
really
tune back
made
in.
you
But
feel proud and that you were
I mean,
doing a good job at this thing?
listen, man, I'm probably never gonna stop day trading, never gonna stop investing, buying crypto.
Nah.
What would you
Nah,
You can't hear
say
me?
was? What would you say was like?
Oh no, you don't have a
Just
you don't have a
I
you
guess
can't
based
share
off
one?
of your long-term
Hello?
perspective on how the mainstream adoption is going to impact the crypto market. Like, what are some like must buys for you, or like I'll never sell kind of situations with some coins?
Never selling Ethereum.
Yeah, I
That's
agree.
a huge thing. Never selling Ethereum. Very surprised that Ethereum didn't hit 7K last year. And that, especially from technicals, that was like, I was like, yeah, it's definitely gonna hit 7. I was, set up with that. Ethereum, Solana, especially the way NFTs are going and all that thing transition to that. I'm not getting rid of that. Uh,
I like
and what is
Solana.
another huge one that I'm never gonna let go of? Crypto.com. That's a sleeper. And
Interesting.
the reason why, hear me out. The reason why is because a lot of people in the sports world are getting into crypto because of crypto.com. So because of that, I feel that's going to be the main thing that they're going to go into when getting into cryptos. All right, let me hear, I'm into crypto.com. Let me see what this is about. I'm going to put money into this. Obviously, Bitcoin as well. People are still purchasing Bitcoin, which I think is not a wise decision. But besides that, it's like Bitcoin, then what platform they hear about? Coinbase. In the sports world, they hear about crypto.com. Like they just purchased Sports Center. They're getting their face into different sport teams as well. So I think that's going to be a sleeper.
Nice. So I thought, me personally, I'm not too big on crypto.com, but I could see it. I could see why. Ethereum, I'd agree. Solana, I love Solana. My only concern is like the I guess trade-off for centralization versus decentralization because of transaction speed and like the proof of work model that they have. But
You don't think
there's
that's
some
going to be
yeah,
you don't think that's going to be fixed?
nah, I think I don't think they want to sacrifice the transaction speed for decentralization, right? Like the way they, from my understanding at
That's
least,
fair. That's
the way
fair.
like they've structured it, like their I guess right now their niche, right, is the transaction speed is faster than Ethereum, right?
Right.
The
Right.
gas
Right.
fees are lower, right? That's what drew so many people to it. I think it's only a matter of time before there's like a Bored Ape type large NFT project that has that type of success on the Solana network, and I think there might be an increase in volume there, just in terms of like
Because
marketplace and
of
stuff
that,
like that.
that's interesting. But so
Solana
you feel
Pay.
as if when that happens, it's not going to be like, I mean, like obviously we have Ethereum 2.0, coming into play and everything, working on those gas fees. You don't think that's going to be? Think about supply and demand. You know, like once those things set, it's like I want to keep this going. I want to keep this wealth flowing. I have to do some type of adaptation to keep my users here with me.
So there's just so many different things that Solana's doing, like in that ecosystem, like with Solana Pay that they just launched, where like uh, that's going to be huge, especially with things going on the mobile side with hardware, like Apple, retail stores use your phone for transactions. It's going to get so much crazier with Web3 and like all the interconnectivity. I think Solana is not willing to like. It's the onus is on Ethereum. Like the Solana doesn't have to change that
Yeah,
until Ethereum solves that problem.
true,
If Ethereum doesn't solve that
true.
problem, they're only like opening the door for Avalanche and Solana, like
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and then there's like I've kept my eye on like smart contracting that's like crossing over with privacy because I feel like it's an
Oh, yeah.
undervalued like sector in blockchain and like with Web3, yeah, sure, it'll be more connected, more monetization of our own data as users, but we're all gonna fucking know how much money we make, and that's weird
Of
to me
course,
at
of
least.
course.
So like
It's
like
it's I feel like it more would be about again about the protection, right? So
Mhm.
added to that is like now it's going to come to a point. Before I continue that, it's very great the fact that like we're literally living in a time when all this is being created.
Mhm.
Like it's just like in the next 10 15 years, yeah, not even 20, literally 10 to 15 years, like what's going on now is going to feel as if there's like 1900s. And I don't mean
Yeah,
like 1950. I mean like literally 1900s. Like
yeah.
you guys used to do that. Like even
Hmm.
like my nephew, like he came up. I'm going to answer your question in full circle, but he came over here, and funny enough, I got a PS5 for two reasons. I got one because I wanted to play a Star Wars game, and the second one was because when my nephews come, I wanted them to do something and not bother me. So he came over, and I had purchased Crash. They have a latest one. So I was showing him. I was like, "Yo, like I used to play this game. It's really good." And he was like, "This game sucks." Like, but it's just funny because like to him, and I understand why he feels that way, right? Especially in the time of Fortnite, Call of Duty. Like, yeah, that game would suck. It would seem as if like that's like a Tetris game to him, right?
Hmm.
So, but to go back to what you were saying, yeah, I feel it's going to come to a point where yeah, you're gonna know how much money someone makes and everything. Honestly, it's gonna be like their resume, right? Like how much NFTs do you own, what NFTs do you own, and so forth. But again, it's also gonna be on a blockchain. So it's like who is 35432, right? Like something like that. Oh, that's me. I own that.
So
That's what I feel like.
that's
Like just like meta. Yeah,
that's the only that's like the only I guess barrier though. You know what I mean? Like as
the
soon
only
as people
barrier.
are able, like
The only barrier.
if you could if I could tie this hash code to Handsome Tony, now it's like that's all that was blocking me. You know what I mean? So like what I was saying about like
So
smart
you think
contracting
that's
and
gonna
privacy, I think it's
right?
something that like because you need to be a little more like technical or like invested into the space. I feel most people who
Yeah.
are like adapting Web3 right now or just like some of these crypto-based platforms aren't aware of all of this yet, right? Or how important
Right.
it
No,
is.
we're all at the end of the day, we're all new to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you may have some more info than others, but we're all new. This shit is way too fresh for us to think that we're complete experts and like, oh, I'm so dominant. Like no, it's not the case. A lot of people they got in the right place, right timing. Right. It doesn't mean you know what you're talking about. Right. And that's
Hmm.
another thing as well. Like a lot of people, they have wealth, but they don't really know what they're talking about within that field that they have the wealth from. Some people just get lucky. right? So it's like you have to continuously update and educate yourself within the field. And I feel by doing so, once things have like a nice foundation, well, it does now, but once things have a better foundation, which like, it can become more simple to the average individual, then I feel like from there, you'll see a lot of hacking obviously be on the rise the more it is
Yeah.
now, more about going into the privacy. But I don't think that it is a barrier. I don't think that that will change fully. I think I do feel and see why you're saying that once we knock out who, like if I can say 3258 is Hansome Kelly, then you're good. I feel like it's going to be difficult to get that down packed though. But it's very possible that we can make it a change in which like 3258, yeah, that's Hansome Kelly. He has this, he has that, and so forth. Because when it boils down to your resume, it's like okay, it is going to be in a blockchain. So it's like who's connected to this? How many transactions going to this wallet or this this account and so forth. So it may be you may be right about that one.
My thoughts are just like identity aside with like your name individually. Like the transactions, the amount of money in the wallet, the NFT or digital assets you have in there. There are some protocols, like Secret Network, for example, that's a product I'm keeping my eye on. And like they're all about protocols to block that stuff, like with secret keys, like if you wanted to, you know what I mean? So like I just think that like that's a particular sector that people aren't paying attention to right now. It's a little niche, and I think that it's undervalued. And as we like more of these platforms adopt this technology, and like some of the next Googles, the next Facebooks that like come up out of this space, right? I think people are going to become more privacy aware, just like how we're becoming more aware of what's happening with our data and wanting to be able to monetize that. I think especially with, for example, right? Like, look at Ukraine, like in Russia, the situation. Canada, for example, they shutting banks down, taking money. That could happen with crypto too, with like centralized exchanges and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
It depends, though. I feel it depends. Funny enough, the CEO of what's his name, Jesse Powell, if I'm not mistaken, he's the CEO of Kraken. I just put a reel out. He actually said that in the event in which he's told to free someone's asset, he's going to do that. Right? I feel like these things can happen depending on where you keep your assets in. Right? Like if you obviously have your assets, in a wallet like Coinbase and so forth, it can easily be taken, right? Just like the couple who ran off of like 4 point something billion in Bitcoin, but then the government seized it. It's like, how did you seize my shit? Like, people aren't looking at that point. They're looking at the fact that, oh my God, this couple, they ran off with 4 point something billion, but they're not looking at the fact that the government was able to seize that money from them, right? So like things like that, it's like, more things, obviously like legend stuff, more things are going to be more implemented because, to answer you as well, yes, identity is especially like cybersecurity with this, that's something that is going to be a huge, huge resource and need for that people aren't looking towards. But I think that, within time, again, someone's going to come out, solve that problem, like we always do as humans, so we can continuously adapt. It's going to be a way in which, once it's set, all right, now let me put this out, this solves that issue in which we can go back to, things will be more centralized, but you don't have to worry about someone coming in and taking it over and then messing you up.
That's an interesting take. I hope we don't. I hope all this new tech doesn't come out and we go centralized.
Well, yeah, because it's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly. It's going to be ugly if it doesn't.
But I guess, Tony, did you have something?
No, I think the only thing I would say about the whole security piece is that as everything becomes more encrypted, I feel that there are more and more people that are in criminal organization will utilize those things. And how do we track them and stop them? That's why KYC, AML are so big in the banking space, because we want to make sure that these institutions that are criminal organization aren't able to just freely move their money and do things that they want to get done. But I feel that that's where I think traditional banks are a little concerned, but that's my perspective from that. But I agree with you. It is important to have your privacy.
I don't think that we'll be able to. One huge example and reason for that is
we got it.
The way Bitcoin was even developed, not developed, but its usage, right? It was on the black market. It was pretty much like, if you're into Bitcoin, you're doing crimes, drug deals, and so forth. And the reason why I think that is because, I mean, this may be the conspiracy in me, but crime runs the world. Literally, right? We have wars, all these type of stuff. A lot of wealth is built, wealth is created during recessions and wars. So that's not going to stop. Right. And then added to that, the black market and all that stuff. You got people who like things like, what is that? Squid Game. These things are based off of something. Like, people, they have the imagination and stuff, but it's based off of something. Like,
bro,
just think,
I don't know if this is true, but I've always been told that the FIFA organization, like the soccer FIFA organization, is like so corrupt that it's like crazy. Like it's run by mafia. That could be completely incorrect.
True. I wouldn't be surprised.
Bro, what's
honestly, a lot of these top organizations, they just pay these small fines and they continue to do what they do. These things are corrupt, man. These banks too. These banks are fucking corrupt. Like, don't be surprised. I'll tell you right now. Don't be surprised.
So Tony, to your point, and Hansome, to your point as well, with banks and then criminals using some of this new technology, I think, at least in the financial space, banks are some of the biggest criminal entities out. And I think it's because of this
right under America.
Yeah, I think it's because of this tech that they're scrambling to adopt it now after spending some of the past few years shitting on it, because it can get in the way of their bag. You know what I mean? They're the middleman, and a lot of this tech removes the need for a middleman. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I feel like they're struggling to survive out of concern that they'll be left behind, like the brick and mortar banks.
Agree.
And stuff like that.
Agree. And I feel like it's going to come to a point where the thing about it is that you have to get your actual capital, right? I mean, the good thing is that a lot of things are taking crypto payments, but the things that are not yet, you still have to transition. So it's like, I have to make a withdrawal to put the money in my bank account to make these transactions, right? To pay these bills, to pay off these cards and so forth. So that's the thing that I feel, I mean, again, I think that's going to change very soon. I don't think that's something that's going to stick. A lot of things are either going to adapt or just go extinct. But as of now, you have to do those things. So, in this process, and that's what I'm saying too, like within the next 7 years, you can have a 9-year-old right now, and by the time that 9-year-old turns 18, he's going to say to himself, like, you guys used to use banks? Like, why? Like little things like that for transaction stuff. So I can see that. And another reason why I can see is because, COVID, right? Things that were going to happen within the next 20, 30 years. Wow. COVID made it happen within the next year or two.
That's so true. People weren't going to banks anymore. That's so true. People weren't going to banks
even with Bitcoin, like Bitcoin was not on route to hit 60 grand. Bitcoin was not on route. What happened was COVID happened. Sure. Yes, COVID happened. And then we kept printing all this money. The way we responded to COVID, right? When I say we, I'm talking about our government and also the Fed. The way they responded to it, printing all this money. Investors, they understood what goes on with inflation, right? How can I protect my dollars? Right? What can I invest into? That can be a hedge against it, right? Bitcoin, gold, right? Gold hit record numbers in 2020. It went up to around I think 2050, if I'm not mistaken, or right in that area, per ounce, right? Bitcoin, that went crazy sky high. Even the technicals not showing you that price was going that route. However, it hit a support held, it stayed. And then from there, prices rose and it didn't look back.
Gotcha. All right. So we always like to wrap up with one question. Like, how do you block out the noise? Like, how do you stay focused?
I have a fiance.
Great answer. I love it.
Congratulations.
I love it. Congrats, man. Congrats.
But yeah, she keeps me grounded. She keeps me grounded and around the path. But besides that, my phone's on Do Not Disturb. And I can get into the habit of not responding like real quick and just like leaving it at that. But that helps me out. And because a lot of times I get overwhelmed. I am human, and then, a lot of things are going on, and, but then in reality, me being overwhelmed is because of the fact that I'm taking on too much so quickly. So it's like, let me take my breather, meditation that helps. Let me take my breather. Okay, all right. What can I do right now? What can I do after that? What's after that part? Instead of me doing everything all at once, right? And I feel like that's helpful because, even with everything on my plate, the wise thing to do is to eat my food before adding more things to it, right? And then sometimes you got to take a moment just to like, all right, I see my plate is full. Let me not add macaroni and a lasagna. Let me not do that. Let me finish what I have here, and then let me go get some. Maybe I can't do macaroni right now because it's too heavy. Maybe I have to do some I don't know, some fruits, just to get myself going. But little stuff like that, and then just just stay consistent with that. The hardest thing, which is also the most rewarding, is the consistency.
Gotcha. I love it, man. Love it. Great answer.
Awesome. Well,
yeah, I do appreciate this call, guys. This was great.
Yeah, I know. Appreciate you
Likewise,
taking the time
likewise,
to hop
man.
on.
Likewise.
For our listeners, man, if you want to tap into just some of Hansome's content and some of his educational courses, definitely tap into hansomekelly.com. Purchase the Financial Vortex. He's got a foreign exchange course that will be super helpful. So definitely recommend that. Follow him on Instagram. Instagram. I said Instagram. That's how you know money's calling. but we'll holla, man. And thanks again for joining us.
All right, guys. Take care.